type in the search box Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Hit that subscribe button so every time we come on air, you get to join us. I'm on Twitter at Smooth 981 FM. Use the hashtag Business Express 981.
Thank you, sir. So, all share index returned to its negative ways yesterday, 0.3% down. 32,451 points is where we close. Our market cap is at 11.8 trillion naira, from by 15%, I believe. For the month, we're down by 6.8%. 13 gainers yesterday, 23 losers. Nigeria Insurance Co. PLC was the top gainer, up by 9.6%, closed at 34 kobo. Livestock Feeds was the top loser, down by 9.5%, closed at 57 kobo. So all the Skybank gist didn't allow us to get to other stories yesterday, but there just happens to be a monetary policy committee meeting that's taking place, the fourth one of the year. Started yesterday, it concludes today. There's been speculation as to what the committee will decide, whether they will increase rates, whether they will reduce rates, whether they will hold. I wanted to get your thoughts on where you think the MPC meeting will conclude today. Bolarinwa, what are you saying?
Okay, so the MPC meeting is started yesterday, as you've rightly stated, and it will be concluding today. Against the decision making will be against the backdrop of a couple of factors. I want to highlight a couple of factors that the committee will be looking at in arriving at their decision. Firstly, we'll look at inflation. Inflation got to the point of inflection in August. We saw a reversal. We were seeing a downward trend, but in August we saw a reversal, though marginal. But we can't say that is a trend yet until we see additional 2 months of the same pattern. But that is a cause for concern to the policymakers. For external reserves, we've seen the external reserve deplete in the last couple of months. We've seen it a depletion of about $2.6 billion from the external reserve. But it should be noted that the depletion of the external reserve at a time like this, when oil price is swinging up, is a cause for concern. Also, they will also be looking at election risk, which has affected a couple of the aspect of the Nigerian economy. We've seen foreign portfolio investors exit the market. That's a major point of concern that they will be looking out in their decision. With growth, the economy has not been as strong as we know we are out of a recession, but growth is not as would have expected. We saw 1.5% growth in Q2. Q3 is not likely to be stronger than that. So they will also be looking at the external, that's the global space that they'll be looking out for. The US monetary policy leaning has been more of a hawkish one, and we know that when the US hike rate, it definitely impacts on emerging markets, because what typically would happen is you see investors liquidate their investment and go for safer havens, and also higher yields in markets like the US. And so that is ongoing between the US and China is also a major factor to look out for. Oil price, fine in regards to its trend, but looking at all of these pressure points that I've listed out, I think the MPC would rather do nothing. I know a couple of people analysts have some analysts have suggested that they're likely to hike rates, but I don't think that would likely happen, looking at all of these factors that I've listed out. For them to hike rate at a time like this, when the economy is fragile, will be a suicidal mission.
Okay, Nwanne, let me ask you this. At the last meeting, Bolarinwa, thank you for that. So they kept, okay, just for anyone that's curious, MPR rate is at 14%. Cash reserve ratio is at 22.5. Liquidity ratio is at 30%. They also said that they wanted to take measures to provide cheaper funding for critical sectors of the economy to boost economic activity. That was an announcement at the last meeting. We don't. Do you see any moves being made on that?
Actually made that suggestion earlier on,
right,
of wanting to
stimulate
the economy,
right, by taking from CRR, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
But I don't think it's feasible at this point in time, given what Bolarinwa has said so far. For me, I think it's an issue of they won't tinker with the NPR. It's more or less tinkering with other what's it called, like FGM bonds,
right,
the rate at which it gives investors, probably to move up to 13 to 15%.
Okay.
To that ban.
So what do you also think? You think they'll hold rates?
They'll hold the rates. Yeah, I think it's more in ensuring that the securities rates are, and then the positive returns for both the pension guys are positive.
Are positive as well. Well, Bola, what do you think? To induce
loss that you make from those borrowing will still go back down to impact on your NPL ratio.
Right.
And so a lot of banks, while they want to create additional risk assets, they also will be very careful so that they don't lose money in the process.
All right, and just to help out, you know how we are with acronyms. So CRR is cash reserve ratio. There's a lot of money that's supposed to put aside for in case there's any issues. And then NPL is what, Oga?
Non-performing loans.
Non-performing loans. Thank you so much. All right, let's move on to oil. Bolarinwa already mentioned this a couple times. Headline here is that oil prices hit a 4-year high. I think it's the highest point since November of 2014. So what was behind that? What did it react to? It's $80, 81?
Yes, it's 134.
Right.
Generally, it's just Iran sanction and Venezuela oil production cuts.
Okay.
I think for now, OPEC are leaning towards that they won't supply.
Right. They won't increase output. Yeah. Right.
But anyway, I don't see any reason why they should suffer. But then most of this US, for instance, they're increasing rates, so they want to get more bucks for value.
Well, with that triggering OPEC, they generally ignored him.
Yeah, definitely, it's a no-brainer.
When it was
like,
low, they
didn't support them, so they had to parley with Russia. And a couple of other suppliers to get price to where price the price of crude oil is today. For me, I think the takeaway for Nigeria, I think it's both positive and negative for us. Positive because revenues are going to increase. Right. External reserve should be affected by this new levels of oil price. But for the negative side, my fear is that we'll drop our thinking cap. If you notice, over the couple of months, we've dropped the content. It is not as intense as we saw it when oil price was at $30-40 per barrel. So everybody's back to the jubilation. Haven't seen the oil price is surging back to the levels that we are comfortable with. But the fact is still we are still exposed to external factors. So it means that if there's any shock in the global markets, it's not going to all go well with the country. So we need to get leaders who would suspend the focus on oil prices, oil production, and let us work our way out to being independent of oil. We are not there yet, and I hope this will not get us into that corner that we are trying to leave off.
Something else I thought you were going to mention, it's not something that we haven't talked about in a while. Subsidy. That's also another thing that's been gone quiet, yeah, because I know that when prices rise like this, that also gets into the conversation, but there's no chatter about subsidy.
Till next year.
Till next year, and we'll leave it alone. Okay.
Well, they are subsidizing, but it's just that it's not obvious to the market.
So the market.
All right,
Okay.
we have quick messages here. One on YouTube from Olatunde Alao says, increase oil prices relates to more fuel subsidy.
You just mentioned it. Thank you.
That's straight up. Another one here. This
Yikes.
is from Paul.
These
Paul
messages.
says,
Okay.
the truth is, let's see how things have happened in the past 1 month, but from the questionable finds of banks to drop in the bank share prices to the failure of Skybank, the CBN deserves to be fined for not being proactive to early warning financial metrics. And two, how come the shares of Sky, Unity, and Heritage Bank are still being publicly traded despite them not releasing financials for almost 3 years?
Good question.
All these are regulators, CBN, SCC, NSE, FRC, ECC. They all deserve to pay fines, Paul says. He also added, why won't foreign investors exit, most especially with the signal of how it treats FDIs like MTN? I wasn't surprised when the Cyprus president said he wasn't going to invest in the Nigerian market. This MTN issue would have a long-lasting impact on investor sentiment.
That's why they had that press release that they said investors should calm down. All right.
Yinka says, my only issue with Trump is his stand with regards to world supply. Let him just mind his business. However, if OPEC is not increasing supply, won't the Egina FPSO be adding to Nigeria's output? Or is it like we aren't meeting our target yet?
Well, still at.
It's still at 1.65 there.
I thought it was in 1.8. It will be generous. Yeah, I don't think it will affect the Yinka.
We won't say generous, unless you're saying that those other maintenance issues are pipelines are back on stream.
Okay. All right.
Here's another one here from Papi K. Says, people, banks already awashed SITH. These, okay, a lot of acronyms on this one. Benga Kamo says, I read Rwanda has a 6.7 growth rate.
Yes.
Why is it so difficult to achieve same here? We seem to have a lot of motion and no real progress. What would it cost to fix potholes? So many roads in Lagos need to be fixed. The bad roads deter more, not enhance public economic growth. The way the country is being run and the states the state is in, it shows that so much about the way we think in this country.
Click on this one. Somebody said they're going to surprise us. Yeah, this one right here. This message.
This guy.
Yeah. Damio. Yeah.
Damio says MPC meeting will surprise you. Keystone Bank, Main Street Spring, and now Polaris. Finally, we have a 4-million bridge.
Damio, very clever. Very clever. So you see, Damio is saying that MPC will surprise us. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Watch out for that. Yinka says subsidy will come after elections. However, I think we're all converging to the fact that that's agriculture.
Yeah, forget agriculture.
Oil is still the main thing. Why? Money from oil is the easiest we'll ever make as a country. Who wants stress?
That's a lazy country.
Yeah, exactly.
Presently now, the fact that we're experiencing flood in some areas, is going to have an impact.
That's bound to have an impact. Yes.
On the food index, for inflation, that's part of the reason why it rose.
Even with exports,
right.
When you have export commodities, the flood is really affecting.
Over 140-something thousand displaced.
It's pretty heavy, and only three. Well, I mean, they gave something 3 billion naira from the federal government to address it, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. We'll have to see.
Shibaja just visited Kogi State to assess the impact.
It's pretty heavy. We've used all that time for messages. We wanted to get to our 2017 budget performance, but we'll go over that tomorrow with AfriInvest.
It's a wow performance.
Lagos, thank you so much for your messages. Nwanne and Bolarinwa, thank you for joining us today.
Guys.
Appreciate your analysis.
All right, follow Rotus on Twitter at Rotanquotes.
Yeah.
The K is a K, Rotanquotes, KWOT at the end.
Yes, indeed.
All right, coming up next at 7:30 Lagos, we go into detailed analysis of the newspaper stories inside of Freshly Pressed. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Smooth 98.1. Good morning.